Tell me about this lake. What else do you see?
I just see water. Trying to see if there's land around it, but I can't see.
Yes. Okay, and what do you see anything in the water?
I can just see a reflection of myself.
What do you look like?
I look like I look now.
Are you young or old?
Young,
Are you healthy or unhealthy?
healthy.
Are you wearing any jewelry or embellishments?
No, not at the moment.
You wearing anything on your head?
No, I'm completely naked.
Are you carrying anything on you?
Mm-mm.
And why are you completely naked?
I think I'm coming to pass.
Yes, tell me about that. What is happening here? You can kind of expand the scene. Let's find out what you're doing here.
It was very hot. And I decided I needed to cool off.
Yes. Where were you when it was getting hot?
In the field,
What were you doing in the field?
working.
What kind of work do you do?
We have to grow wheat and harvest wheat
Who's we?
to make ourselves food to eat.
Yes, very good. And who do you work with in the fields?
All the people in the village work together.
Yes. Okay, and how do you work this wheat? What do you do with it?
We take our hooks when they are brown and ready, and we cut them off into baskets.
Yes.
We carry the baskets to the ladies, and they have these stone machines that they work it into a powder.
Yes. Okay, so everyone has their kind of task.
Yes.
How do you feel about this work?
It can be fun, but I don't always want to do it.
Why not?
Because sometimes I also just want to play.
How old are you?
I am a teenager.
What kind of play do you like?
My friends and I like to take straw and weave dolls. And we like to spy on some of the locals.
What do you like to see?
Oh, the old man likes to talk to thin air. He's very funny. He says the strangest things.
What does he say?
We can't always make out what he's saying because it sometimes doesn't make sense.
Yes. Why do you enjoy that?
Because it is silly. It makes us laugh.
Yes.
We like laughing.
Yes. Very good.
And then we like to watch some of the other people. My friend and I know which men are not good men. They drink too much and they have more than one lady.
Sorry, what did you say?
Said some of the men drink too much. And they have more than one lady.
Okay.
And their wives don't know.
Yeah, what do you feel about that?
We don't like it. But we know that it is not for us to judge.
How do you know that?
It is what my mother told me.
Okay.
She told me not to be nosy.
Yes.
And look into other people's things and judge them.
How do you feel about what changes in the men when they drink?
They become very loud.
Yes.
And they smell funny on their breath.
Yes.
I don't like the smell of ale.
Yes. Why don't you specifically like it?
It smells sour. I don't like sour things. I like sweet things.
What kinds of things do you like eating?
Oh, Once a year, we have some trees that give off beautiful berries, and they are so sweet. I like to sneak off and steal them when nobody's looking, just to have some extra sweeties.
Yes, very good. Okay, but you're saying in this moment you're going to cool off.
Yes, I'm supposed to be working in the field, and I snuck away to come and swim.
Okay. Are you alone?
Yes,
Okay, tell me what you're doing here.
I'm just lying in the water,
Yes.
floating.
How do you feel when you're in the water?
I feel calm.
Yes.
I'm thinking about what I'm going to do if I'm an adult.
What would you like to do when you're an adult?
I would like to see more of the world.
Which parts of the world would you like to see?
Well, I don't know. I just know that there has to be more than just this village.
Why do you want
And I would like to explore that.
Yes. Why do you want to explore that? What is it? What do you think that will do for you?
It's about the people. I would like to study the people and see if they are the same as us.
Yes. Why is that interesting to you?
I don't know. I've always found people to be peculiar and strange. We are all the same, yet we are not all the same.
Yes. How is that interesting to you?
Because it's different. We are all the same, but we are not all the same. And it is trying to find out why we are not all the same.
Yes.
Even in the village, we all do things the same way, the same routines, but yet everyone is still so different.
Yes.
And even with that routine in place, I sometimes don't understand how people can do certain things, whether it be good or bad.
Yes.
It is about trying to get understanding.
Okay. So it's not in judging, it's in understanding.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, and what else is happening in this water?
It's just calm. I know there are some fishes below me.
Yes.
I can hear the boys running down the hill. It's time for me to get out of the water.
Okay.
I do not want them to see me without my clothes on.
Yes. What do you think will happen if they did?
It is just not what we do.
Yes. To see other people without clothes on.
Yes,
Okay.
especially for a woman,
Why is that?
because our bodies are sacred.
In which way are they sacred?
Well, God is a female, so we are taught, and we are females, and therefore our bodies are sacred. So it is not for us to flaunt
Okay.
for other people. That is also why I cannot understand why some ladies would want to be with men that are already with somebody else. It just doesn't make sense. They are ruining their bodies.
In which way are they ruining their bodies?
Well, they are not looking after it as if it is sacred. My body is sacred. I will not share it with somebody who is not going to value that.
Yes. And how do you treat your body?
How I look after it very wisely. It must still carry me for a long journey, especially if I want to leave this place and explore.
You need a strong body for that, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Okay, is there anything else exciting or significant happening here in this scene?
No.
Are you able to get your clothes on and get back?
Yes, I've already put my clothes on. I've climbed up the tree now. I'm hiding and I'm watching the boys play and be silly. See what mischief they get up to.
What do you see?
They are joking about their private parts and pushing each other. Boys are just boys. They are a silly creature. I do not understand them.
Why is that?
They have all this strength and they have this mind, and yet they will sit and make jokes about their manhood.
How would you rather
It
them
is
act?
stupid.
How do you think they should rather act?
I think they should rather argue about who is catching the biggest fish for dinner. That would make more sense.
That would be more productive, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Maybe it's not as fun though.
Yes. Maybe it's not as fun, but fishing is fun.
Okay. Okay, anything else you noticed here?
No.
Okay, let's close that scene. You close that scene. And let's move forward to another important day. Day where something is happening. And you've moved forward to this important day. What is happening? What do you see?
I'm busy dressing in traditional clothing.
What does that look like?
It is beads. They are dressing me with lots of beads. And they are giving me a white dress. Cloth dress.
Why are they giving you that?
I think it is my wedding.
How do you feel on this day?
Nervous.
Why is that?
Because I do not know if I will be a good wife.
How so?
I don't know. There are a lot of expectations.
What is the biggest expectation?
Will I be able to bear a child?
Why is that important?
It is always important. It is our main job. If a woman is barren and she cannot bear a child, then she has no purpose.
Why is it so important to have a child?
That is just what we do. When you get married, you need to provide an heir for your husband.
What does the heir do? How does it make the husband feel?
Well, if the heir is a boy, the husband will feel proud and he will have status. He will know that there is somebody to carry on his legacy.
And if it's a girl?
If it is a girl, at least I am not barren. It is better than nothing.
Yes.
It is just he will be able to betroth her to somebody else.
Yes. And is there some kind of payment for that, or how does that work?
No, we do not do arranged things like the other villages.
Are you still the same girl from before?
Yes.
Okay, but you're a bit older, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Okay, and what else is this? You're saying it's kind of traditional clothing with beads. Tell me about that.
Gold and blue bracelets and necklaces. It's quite a lot. They are heavy.
What is the significance of all this jewelry?
It is a part of their tradition. I am from a different village, but I have fallen in love.
Yes.
And I am now needing to take on their traditions.
Okay.
So it is a big deal. It is almost like a coming of age and a wedding in one.
How is this coming of age?
Well, normally when you are coming of age in a village, there is a ceremony.
How old are you about in this scene?
About 17 or 18, I think.
And where are you on the planet? You can look at the Earth, and where you are will just light up.
It's a more tropical place.
Can you see which part lights up?
I'm trying to. It's a bit difficult.
Okay, doesn't matter.
I'm being told that the map that I'm visioning is not the same.
Why is that?
I think it's because I did not go to a traditional school. I was taught from home, and only from the knowledge that my mother knew that she could pass down.
What does that map look like? The one that you were taught?
Well, it is just a piece of land. It shows the lake in the corner and it shows different villages.
Mm. And how far is this village to your village?
It is not very far.
And how did you meet this boy?
Playing in the fields. I decided to go on an adventure and I packed some bread. I knew I would be gone for more than a day and my mom would be mad, but I wanted to see what was outside the village.
And was that safe?
Yes, it is safe, but it is also not safe when you are in the wilderness. There are a lot of things that want to eat you.
What would like to eat you?
Well, we have funny looking cats,
Mm.
and there are wolves,
Yes.
that kind of thing.
Okay,
There
but
are
it
also snakes and spiders.
seems like you survived it though.
Yes,
And you found this boy on the other side.
yes, he nearly ran over me with his horse. He wasn't paying attention.
Yeah.
I smacked him on the head with my bag.
Yeah. What did he do?
His eyes lit up. He could not believe that I would have the courage to do such a thing, and that I was not lying on the floor, being all frail and like most women would be.
Why would most women be like that?
They are how I perceive them to be weak. I'm not weak, I am too stubborn for that.
Yeah. Okay. And then what happened from there?
We would secretly meet every day and have lunch and talk.
And do you get along well with him?
We do get along very well. He told me and showed me many things. He even helped me with ideas to fix things at home that my mom was struggling with that I could fix.
Which kinds of things?
Like our door,
Mm.
a stronger door latch.
Yes. Okay. So he was quite helpful.
Yes,
Okay, and you're saying on this day it's your wedding day.
yes.
What else is happening here?
Everybody is excited. There is lots of music playing. They are lighting the smoke. It is part of the cleansing process.
What do you mean part of the cleansing process?
They need to cleanse me, and they need to ask the ancestors for permission.
What do they need to cleanse you from?
There is always wicked energy around. There is always negative energy. They want to clear this energy. We use smoke, a special type of plant,
Mm-hmm.
to clear this energy so that we do not take this energy with us into our relationship. It is the purification process of us coming together.
Mm. And where does this negative energy come from?
It is all over. People can create it, or it is just there. It is part of the balance.
Tell me about that, the balance.
Well, you have to have good and you have to have negative. It needs to be in a balance.
What happens when it's out of balance?
Well, it can be devastating. Too much of a good thing can become a bad thing too. And too much of a bad thing is a bad thing. And so it needs to be in balance.
Mm.
The earth has been out of balance for a very long time. The earth has been struggling to get its balance back.
Mm. How is the earth out of balance?
Too much wickedness going on. People do not listen. People do not care.
Mm.
People have become selfish.
Seems quite a narcissistic state, isn't it?
Yes, you could say that.
Okay. Okay, but you're saying on this day you're getting cleansed from the smokes. Is kind of this cleansing for the unification that is to come.
Yes.
Okay. What else is happening?
People are moving all around me. and talking and giving instructions and orders. It's a big affair. It is too much for me.
Why is
I
that?
do not like such a big fuss.
Why not?
But in his village it has to be a fuss.
Why is that?
Because I'm afraid I cannot be what people expect me to be.
What do they expect you to be?
I always seem to do the wrong thing at the wrong time.
In which way?
Well, just the way I eat and drink, for example, is not that of, well, the way that they would want. I would eat like the boys, with my hands, and make a mess. I will eat until I am full. This village is different. It is very different. There are things that they do that are from the old, but they are also new. It's almost as if somebody woke up and made their own rules one day. It does not make sense to me, but it is important.
Okay, it's kind of like a different culture then.
Yes.
Okay, so
Very
there's quite a
much
fuss
so.
going on. And what else is happening here? Anything else significant?
No. The cleansing process is finished, and now we will be betrothed.
What does that look like?
It is a long ceremony. They will tie our hands together with ropes, and then we must stand. We need to say a lot of things back and forth and answer a lot of questions. I don't find these questions useful. They do not show the meaning of whether we are a good match or not.
What kind of questions don't you like?
It is more statements of what my role is to be. I don't like all of it. I don't agree with all of it. I think it is boring. I was asked not to roll my eyes, but it just does not make sense.
Yes. What do they expect you to be in this marriage?
Well, I need to be clean all the time for a start. And I do like working outside. In our village, women work, and we help to harvest. In this village, women don't. Women just bear children and raise children and cook food. But we are not planning on staying in this village, so it is okay.
Will you move to your village, or where will you move?
We are both of the exploring kind.
Okay.
And we will explore together.
That sounds like a good match then.
Yes, I think so.
Okay, what happens?
We did not tell them this. They would not approve.
Why would they not approve?
They would not want us to leave the village. And because I am from a different village, they would not approve of the marriage if they knew that we were to leave.
Yes. Okay.
When we leave, there will be problems, we know. They will say that I have poisoned him and his mind, and that I am wicked. But that is not the case.
Well, it's his own choice, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. What happens? Anything else happening on this day?
Oh, we just eat and dance and go to bed.
Okay. You can close that scene. Take a deep breath. Let's close that scene. And let's move forward to another important day. A day where something important or significant is happening. And be there now. What is happening? What do you see?
I am bleeding a lot.
Yes, what happened to you?
I was giving birth.
Yes.
My baby is not crying, and I won't stop bleeding.
Yes. Why is the baby not crying?
I don't know.
Is anyone with you?
Yes.
Who's there?
My husband is there.
Is he saying anything?
He's telling me to be calm and to stay with him. I'm losing consciousness.
Mm.
I'm exhausted,
How do you feel emotionally?
scared,
Why is that?
because my baby is not crying.
What about, are you not scared for yourself?
No,
Why not?
I will be fine. And even if I am not, I have lived a good life.
Yes. What happens to you?
I am taken to a hut
Mm-hmm.
and I am kept there. The shaman is here. He is praying for me and calling for the ancestors for healing.
Mm.
They are burning a lot of smoke.
What does the smoke do?
It is to remove the negativity that is causing the problem in the body. I do not know if these practices work, but we are willing to do anything because this is where we are now.
Where are you?
We are with a village of people that are far, far from our village.
Yes. How did you end up there?
Many, many years of traveling, we ended up moving from one place to another
Why did you settle at this village?
because it was not easy to travel with the baby. It was not easy to travel being with a child.
What happened to you? How did you end up bleeding?
I'm not sure. I just know that it happened during childbirth.
Okay.
I think I did something wrong. I'm not sure.
Okay, and what happened to the baby?
My baby died.
Okay. Oh, did you say they're keeping you now?
Yes, they are keeping me now. They are feeding me awful stuff to drink to help heal me.
Is it healing you?
I don't know.
How does your body feel?
My heart is still too sore
Why is your heart sore?
because my baby died.
How does your husband feel about that?
I don't know.
Where is he?
I don't know.
Okay, so do you recover?
I do.
Yes. What happens to your body?
My body heals, but I cannot bear children again.
Yes, how do you know that?
That is what the shaman said.
Okay.
And then we tried for a few years.
Did anything happen?
No,
And you didn't have any children already?
no.
Okay. So how do you feel about not being able to bear children?
I feel sad. I was excited for the baby.
Yes.
It is very difficult for me. My husband does not want to be around me. He says the light has left my eyes.
You feel like that's true?
Yes,
Why?
because I feel like I have no purpose.
Yes. Was that did you want that to be your purpose?
Well, one of my purposes was to bear an heir and to have a baby and to be a mother. I so wanted to be a mother.
Why?
Love. Just love. I see the mothers and their children playing
Yes.
and the families, and they are whole,
Mm.
and there is love.
But you have
My
love.
husband says it doesn't matter. He still loves me, but I cannot believe him.
How do you feel like you're kind of flawed now because you couldn't bear a child?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else you notice in this scene?
No, just my sadness.
Okay. So let's close that scene. You can move forward to the last day in the life we are looking at. You can watch it as an observer if you want to. You've gone forward to the last day of the life we are watching. What do you see? What is happening?
I am an old woman.
Yes, tell me about that.
I am lying on the bed. I am sick.
What is happening to your body?
It does not want to work the way that it used to.
Yes.
I do not want to fight anymore.
Is anyone with you?
Yes.
Who is with you?
We have lots of people who care for us.
Is your husband still there?
No. He died before me.
And where are you?
I am back at my old village.
How did you end up back there?
I came back after my husband died.
And how did the people receive you?
They were very happy to receive me. The children love hearing my stories from traveling.
What kind of stories do you tell them?
Oh, stories of adventure. You have to make it fun. Most of the time it was quite boring.
Why was
There
it
was
boring?
no adventure. You can't tell people stories and tell children that you were on the road on a horse for 6 days and 6 nights and you did not see a soul and nothing happened. That is quite boring.
Yes.
So I will say that we ran into a rattlesnake or something like that. The kids quite enjoy it.
Well, at least you got out of the village, right?
Yes.
Which is more than what they can say.
Exactly.
And you met other villagers.
I met other villagers and I led a full life.
Yes.
And they are all here in support and around me. They're all telling me to fight and to hold on. But I know it's time to let go.
Okay. Are you able to let go?
Yes.
What happens to you?
I go to my husband and my baby.
Yes. What do they look like?
They look like their old selves.
Is he young or old?
That is hard to say. I do not see him as age. I don't think I see him as him. It could just be light and it could just be my perception.
What does the baby look like?
The baby is still small.
How do you feel about seeing them?
Happy.
Okay. Did you go somewhere with them?
I can't remember. I was with them and then there was light. Bright light.
How do you feel about that?
It was warm.
But
But it feels like there is nothingness around me at the same time.
yes. Okay, very good. Okay, so whatever happened has already happened. And you're on the other side of it. And from that perspective, you can look back at the entire life and see it from a different perspective. Every life has a lesson and a purpose. As you look at that life, what did you learn from
To trust my heart.
it? Tell me about that.
If I did not trust my heart, I would not have moved. I would not have met the man that made me so happy.
Yeah.
I would not have had the rich experiences that I had.
Yeah.
And they were tough, but it was worth it.
And how were you able to trust your heart in a sense?
I think it was because I was stubborn. If I felt I needed to do something, then I needed to do it, and I needed to do it now.
You just did it.
Yes.
Okay. Just not like you're worried about other people's opinions or perspectives.
No. I knew that it would be a factor, but I did not care for it.
Okay.
It did not matter.
And do you think that purpose or that lesson was learned in that lifetime?
Yes, I think it was.
And what do you think was the purpose of that lifetime?
Was to show me that there is more than what is expected. Losing a child was tough, and it made me lose my self-worth because I thought that that was what made me. I learned that that is not what made me.
Yes. What made you?
I made me. My heart made me, my experiences made me.
So at the end of the day, we only have our experiences.
Exactly. And you cannot let your worthiness be determined on what you can and cannot do. Some things are out of our control.
And why were you not able to have children in that life?
There was too much damage to my uterus with the first birth of my son.
Yes. There was a birth before the second birth? Or was there only one birth?
There was only one birth.
Okay. Okay, is there anything else lesson or purpose-wise from that life?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That there is love everywhere. And that all people are different. And all people are on their own journeys. And that they all need to be appreciated for who and what they are. As outrageous as some of these villages' cultures were for me, I learned to embrace and accept them for who they were without judgment.
How were you able to do that?
It was because I was not going to judge or find fault. I was going to learn. I was looking to learn.
Okay. So you seek to understand, not seek to approve.
Yes.
Yes. And look with curiosity instead of judgment.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay, anything else? Lesson or purpose-wise from that life?
No, that is it.
Very good. Okay, so you can take a deep breath. Let's close that scene. You can move either forward or backward to find another appropriate time and place that has information that you need, so we can help you in the best way that we can. And you are now at another time and another place. And what do you see? What is happening?
I'm in a room.
Yes, tell me about that room.
It is just a room with a bright light and a chair in the middle.
Yes, tell me more. How do you feel in this room?
I don't know, nervous. I feel like my heart is beating faster.
Yes, where are you in relation to the chair?
The chair is in front of me and I am at the door and being told to sit in the chair.
Who is telling you that?
To someone that I have not met before. It feels unfamiliar.
Okay, so what do you do next?
I'm still deciding if I want to sit.
Can you see who's saying that to you?
I'm not sure if it is a man or a female, but it does not look like a human.
What does it look like?
It is green.
Yes. What shape does it have?
It is hard to explain.
Is it like a humanoid shape?
No, it's not human. I've never seen something like this before.
Does it have a head? And
It does have a head.
what does the head look
It's
like?
green and it's got red eyes. It almost looks. It's not like wrinkles. It is hard to explain. He is telling me to calm down and that it is going to be okay.
Yes. What kind of energy do you feel from this being?
It feels familiar yet unfamiliar.
You look down at yourself. What do you look like?
I still look like me, just with light around me.
Yes. Are you young or old here?
I'm the same age I am now.
Okay.
I'm exactly who I am now.
Okay, so what would you like to do? Would you like to sit down? Would you like to go?
I think I'm going to sit down.
Yes, very good. What happens as you sit down?
I feel more calm now.
Okay, very good. Are you able to
The others are here as well now.
Which others?
My other higher self.
What do they look like?
There are different color lights. It looks like the shape of a human, just you cannot see features. It is lights.
What color
One
light?
is green,
Mm-hmm.
one is blue, one is red,
Mm-hmm.
one is yellow
Mm-hmm.
and purple.
Yes. And where's the green being?
He is still there. They are telling me that it is one of my guides.
What does he guide you with?
He is supposed to help me with my ego.
Who is he? What kind of being is he? Does he have a kind of race or a kind of, where does he belong?
I'm not sure. I'm trying to find out.
Is he able to tell you? Can you communicate with him?
I am trying, but I think I'm doing something wrong.
Okay, are they able to, is anyone else communicating with you?
My higher selves are deciding which one of them is going to come now and
Okay.
help me.
And you're saying the green with the red eyes, that being is helping you with your ego.
Yes,
In which way is he helping you with your ego?
for me not to be afraid, for me to understand that the part of my ego that I feel is negative is not actually negative.
Yes.
It is part of integrating with the shadow, but it is also part of teaching that your perception isn't always correct.
What does that mean?
So I am afraid of him,
Hmm.
but my perception is not correct. I should not be afraid of him.
Yes. This kind of red-eyed monster
Yes,
almost kind of thing.
he doesn't really look like a monster, and he doesn't quite look like a lizard. It's difficult to explain.
Okay, but that's just an aspect of your being that you're not really familiar with.
Yes, and that's why, that is what he is trying to teach me. And that is why he is here now, is to show me that sometimes I may not understand things, and I may not understand why I feel the way I feel, but just because I perceive it to be negative does not mean that it is. It is something that all of us humans are struggling with.
Which, can you use an example?
So, for instance, I would perceive being angry
Mm.
as a negative aspect. It is not okay to be angry.
Mm.
Angry is of a lower vibration,
Mm.
but it is not always the case. Sometimes your ego nudges you towards anger because it nudges you to take a step in the right direction. Your ego is there to protect you and to guide you, but we do not always understand that. So sometimes we give in and we let our egos take control, and sometimes we suppress them. I struggle to let my ego do its thing because I am afraid of my ego. I am afraid that if I let it take control, I will not get control back, and that it will lower my vibration, and that ego is bad. But ego is not. Ego is there to protect us.
Mm. But then how can you befriend this aspect of the ego, for instance, the anger or the rage or the resentment?
By letting it flow, which is something that I have been doing, but not acting out on it. That is the important part. Sometimes you will get angry, your ego will get angry because of a situation. You will then get a thought.
Mm.
Oh, sometimes it can be a very dark thought. Sometimes you would want to murder that person,
Mm.
but you don't.
Yeah.
because you know that you are just angry and that it will just pass.
Yes.
And so that anger was not negative. But had you given in to the negative thoughts and had you reacted in that way and actually murdered that person, well, then it is negative. And that is what they are trying to show me.
Yes.
That my negative emotions are not always negative. They are showing me that sometimes even your positive emotions can mislead you to the wrong things. And just because you perceive it as a positive emotion does not mean that it is positive. It works on both scales. That is why the ego is here, to help us to balance and to help us understand. Sometimes what I want to do and what I perceive to be good for me or good in the moment is not always good in the moment. It is negative, but I did not perceive it as negative. I perceived it as positive. Now we have the ability to manifest things in our lives, yes, but also no. Sometimes you cannot change the circumstances around you, and sometimes you have to just perceive them and see them for what they are. So just because I thought that this positive emotion was a good emotion, and we will use an example of falling in love, for example. You as a teenager fall in love with a boy in high school. You perceive this to be a positive emotion. You give in to that emotion and you end up making stupid mistakes or doing stupid things in the process. So even though you believed that it was positive and that it was good, did not make it positive and it did not make it good. And that is what we are trying to show, is that not all negative emotions are negative and not all positive emotions are positive.
So are you saying that sometimes you feel a negative emotion, but it's actually leading you in the right way, in the right direction?
Yes.
Because it's leading you towards what is possibly wanted instead of what is unwanted.
Yes. Just because you are feeling that negative emotion does not mean that you are off the path. It is a chain reaction. In that absolute frustration and in that absolute moment of anger where you felt like giving up, you then noticed something else that drew your attention. It could have been a book, a show, a song. That then led you to another thought, which led you to another thought, which kept you on the path of where you are going and what you are knowing. That is how it works. Your emotions are a roadmap. They are there to guide you. But you also need to be able to discern which emotions are which. If it is emotion and followed by thought, then it is from your ego, it is the most pure. But if it is thought followed by emotion, well, that is a different story. That is corruption. That means that that thought has then created the emotion.
So you're saying that emotion comes first?
Yes, if it is pure and it is from your guidance, your internal guidance system, which is what your ego is, and it comes from there first, before the thought, then it is the most pure. Then it is your ego trying to show you or guide you somewhere. But if it is a thought that then pushed through into an emotion, well, that is not the right way. Then it is not your ego. It is a corrupted file, as we could put it. We are trying to gather an example that will explain this more.
Yes. Am I speaking
easily.
to subconscious now? Or kind of higher self? Is it a collective higher self?
Yes, you are speaking to one of us.
Yes. Which one is coming through now?
It is difficult to say as we are all making turns during the conversation.
Okay,
So
wonderful.
for the purpose of this, we would say that all 6 of us are streaming.
Okay, very good. So you were just saying you wanted to use an example of this kind of corrupted file. What does that mean?
Yes. So, for example, you are sitting and you are having a cup of tea.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, out of the blue, you are remembering a memory.
Mm.
It could be a trauma memory. It could just be a memory of you fighting with somebody. Or it could be a memory of somebody saying something nasty to you. And for this purpose, we will call it a memory. And you are sitting there and you are fine and you are content. And then all of a sudden, you are remembering this memory. And that memory then stirs up emotion.
Mm.
That is not your ego guidance system. That is your thoughts that are creating emotion, that are creating negativity. Those are the hardest to work through because those are the ones that you normally act upon in a negative way and keep it negative.
Why is that a problem though? Why? Because it happens to everyone. We feel something, or we remember something from childhood. So it's our emotional guidance system taking us back there for a reason. It's almost like we need to resolve something there.
Yes and no.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you had been drinking your cup of tea and you had suddenly just started crying out of the blue and started feeling sad, and then trying to figure out why you are feeling sad, as in looking for the thought or creating the thought, then it is something that your body is trying to release. But your darker side of your ego and your shadow aspect, as we call it, does work in the opposite way as well, and it will sabotage you as well. So you will get a negative thought. And when that situation happened, it could be a fight that you had with somebody and you just remembered them saying something. And you're only now going, oh, I remember that. And now suddenly you work yourself up to anger and you want to do something about it. You are angry and you want to lash out at that person. Then it becomes a negative.
Mm-hmm.
If Samantha was to go to a party, for instance, and as she approached the door, she suddenly felt afraid. Her whole body felt afraid. She was afraid. She cannot understand why she is afraid. There is no clear thought. She was not thinking to herself on the drive, what if the people don't like me? What if this happens? What if that happens? That was not a thought. She is only focused on the positive. I am so happy and excited to be going to this party. I cannot wait to be there. And as she puts her hands on the door, she gets that moment of fear that rushes through her body. That is her guidance system warning her of something to come. She will then push it away. I don't need to be fear. I need to be brave. And attend the party. And later on, something will happen. Let's say somebody would have put something in her drink that would have made her ill. And it was her intuition trying to guide her. That is what we mean. Sometimes you feel negative emotions, but it is your guidance system that is warning you. It is different when it is coming from a thought pattern and when it is just coming from an emotional pattern, and therefore you create the thought after. Like when she touched the door and she suddenly felt afraid and thought to herself, well, what is there possibly to be afraid of? I'm not going to be afraid. There's nothing to be afraid of. Or she could have thought thoughts of fear because that emotion had triggered it. But when your thoughts trigger your emotion, then you are going in the opposite direction. You are not using your ego the way that it is made to be used.
Okay. Okay, but just coming back to her problems, it seems like she is struggling with a lot of rage, right? Still, and resentment. Why is that?
It is because what she believes she should be doing and what she is doing is
Mm.
not the same.
Yes.
It is an internal conflict for her, and
Yes.
we understand this. This is a very difficult period in her life. She is going through a period of change now. Everything is upside down and needs to be shook up and moved around. She has been jumping multiple timelines over the last year without her realizing it, but it is emotionally draining. It is something that she will need to go through. She is feeling stuck and stagnant and wanting to move, but we are needing her to stay stuck and
Why
stagnant
is that?
because it will make the change less painful.
Why will that make the change less painful?
Well, it is easier to control the change that is happening around her for her purpose and for her good going forward in this period of her cycle in her life. If she is moving around and she is giving resistance and she is going against it, she is just prolonging it for herself and it is creating more complications. She does not want more complications. She has told us she is fed up and she does not want to feel like loss is happening around her anymore. We understand this. She has yelled at us even and said to us, "What do we know? We are not in these physical bodies doing it in real time. It is easy to look from up here, from an objective point of view, if we could say." And we understand that. We understand that there is a lot of things that are hurting, but we are needing to go through this change. It is the last bit of clearing before we can fully anchor in with the new energy. It is just where she is in her cycle.
But when will she notice change?
Well, the things are changing around her constantly, and that is why she is feeling the way she is feeling. She does not want to experience loss. She does not want to experience problems. She just wants peace at the moment, and her life is not peaceful.
No.
Because it is going through change. There is a lot of conflict around her, and she may see it as negative conflict, but it is not negative conflict. It is positive conflict. We thought she would understand this when we came to clear the lands.
What do you mean
And
to
how
clear the land?
there was an old energy stuck here on the Strays behind the Gullis lands. It has come from many generations. We do not like to use labels. But for this purpose, we are going to just use a general name. It was like a demon in your terminology that was in control of the land here for many, many years. It has made the energy very thick. It has created a lot of conflict as well among the people staying here. It is part of what we have been trying to clear out. She had to go through a lot of painful experiences in order for us to be able to orchestrate everything in the timing that had happened in order for the job to get done. It was unpleasant, we know, and it seems like it is negative, but it is not negative. She has grown a lot. She has learned a lot. She just needs to accept the pain and move on from it.
So was that done consciously or unconsciously?
Some of it was done consciously and some of it was unconscious because she did not understand what was happening to her. She did not understand why she felt like she was going crazy at one stage. Her emotions were being overwhelmed and she was having strange dreams. It was because that energy was trying to hijack her. It was trying to hijack everybody in town. But since she moved here, she kept telling her mom she needs to clean the land. She needs to clean the land. And for her, it was just crazy talk. And for the family, at one stage, it was too. And now, 2.5 years later, they both finally understood why it had happened the way it had happened. And she even jokingly said, "I could not have planned this even if I had tried, because I did not even know these other people were players in this game."
So how did she cleanse that energy then at the end of the day?
She just set off the right chain of reactions to get the right people here at the right time to understand what was going on. It needed to be cleaned. It started with a bloodline and it needed to be cleaned with the same bloodline, almost like a generational curse.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, but anything for her, because she still feels like quite uncomfortable at the moment. She says she just wants new work, maybe a new place to stay, but it's just not being manifested. So she's feeling very no freedom, feeling very trapped.
Yes, we know she's feeling very trapped. Patience is a virtue, unfortunately. It is one of those things.
Which humans don't seem to have much of.
No, they don't.
Yes.
But it is okay. We can understand why. Again, I think for us, patience is different because we are dealing with quantum time.
Yes.
It is less physical.
Yes.
Whereas with you humans on Earth, it is not. It feels prolonged, but it is actually very quick.
Okay.
She has been particularly impatient since the last time that we saw you.
Yes.
But she just needs to have a little more patience. The problem is we are so many dimensions and timelines that are molding into one and bouncing off into one another and jumping multiple times that it is difficult to give realistic set in stone timelines because we cannot control these things. We can only hope.
Okay, but what can she look forward to? Maybe that if you could just give her that, then they might give her hope.
Well, she is almost out of her cycle. She is almost out of her changing cycle where her new beginning will begin, and it will begin shortly.
Okay, and what can she look forward to?
There's many things. She is going to have much work, and we do not know if she's going to look forward to those things. We do not know. We would look forward to those things. We see them as positive. It is a lot of work.
What kind of work
She
is
will
this?
be getting a place to stay, a place of her own. We know that is what she wants.
Yes.
But there are other aspects. There are aspects with the children. There is a lot of change and growth happening within them, and there is a lot of work that she's going to have to put in. She is going to reach the goals that she wants, but she is just not going to get there exactly the way that she wants to get there. She would like to take the easy route, the work
Shortcut.
smarter, not harder route. But unfortunately, in this dimensional space, it is not possible that it can happen like that. There is no work smarter, not harder. Working harder is smarter. And sometimes the work will seem tedious, it will seem negative, but it is not. We have already told her that she will not be at the spa forever. She is just there to magnetize the last people that she is supposed to. She is of knowledge. She is a finder and a seeker. She is a type of prophecy, if you will. She is here to bring forth the information and relay it to the right people.
Kind of like an oracle.
Yes, she is very strong with her intuition. She gets frustrated because people do not listen to her, but I think it is because she does not understand herself properly yet. She is here to bring forth information. She is not the doer, she is the delegator, and that is where her conflict comes. Your society has taught you that you have to be doers. You have to work hard. You have to be doers. And if you are not doing, then you are not relevant. And so she has this conflict because every time she wants to do something, it is not meant for her. And we have to do a lot to block her because she is very stubborn.
Yes, well, there's a difference between the visionary or the architect, for instance, and the actual implementer or the builder. Like that is a different role, which both equally important.
Exactly, both are equally important, and she is still struggling to understand that. I think it is because she feels she does not get acknowledgement for that aspect.
Well, why does she need external acknowledgements? The only acknowledgement exists,
It
the
is
acknowledgement of self.
It is like that, but she is still working in a team. She is linked to everybody in the team. She is there to be the delegator. She is supposed to delegate what needs to be done by whom. And so it becomes a difficult balance because all the energies within this group are all leaders. They are all strong.
Yes.
They all believe they know.
Yes.
And so it creates conflict. So she does not feel heard. And if she does not feel heard or seen or understand that she is a delegator and not a doer as much as she would like to do, And as much as she is capable of getting her hands dirty and helping the doer, it is not for her to do. So she also needs to learn patience, that once she has brought forth that information, and she might not always consciously be aware that what I am saying now is going to trigger in somebody else the doing.
Yes.
And so she must not put her self-worth on that. That is her problem.
But what kind of information does she need to bring forth, or is she bringing forth?
She's been bringing forth a lot of information, like the lands, which she thought was just babble and she did not understand. She magnetizes the right people who then have the right conversations. It is like a magnet. She is a magnet. She will draw in that energy or the information, and then she will push it to the correct place. She is not consciously aware that she is doing that in the moment. She is just being her. She is just always speaking from her heart and trusting in that moment and following her emotions. She is really connected to her intuition, and that is why she is the delegator in that degree, but not a delegator in a bossy sense of you must do this and you must do that. She is just what we call a universal delegator. That is why she has more than one of us, because she needs to bring in so many different aspects of information for so many different players. It is not just about her and the people that vibrate on her vibration. It is not just about the people who are connected to the eighth dimension, for instance. She is helping people connect in different ways, and it is silly things that she says and does that seems insignificant.
Okay, but you're saying that she feels unheard by the people around her, but you're saying there's an aspect of her that is not hearing herself because she doesn't understand this information or these voices.
Yes, sometimes she does not understand the information that we are giving her, but sometimes that information is not for her to understand. It is like opening a bowl that doesn't belong to you. You will not understand that bowl. You will not know what to do with it. And that is what we are trying to show her. A lot of things are not for her. She is like a postman. That is another example that we can get. She brings in all the letters and she hands them out to the right people. And she must not let her self-worth dwindle because she does not get acknowledgement, or that she feels that people deliberately will take her information and pretend like it is wrong, and then later will pretend like it was them that brought forth this information. It is human nature. We all do it.
Yes, we do. Okay, so she must just get the information and put it out there and
Yes,
leave it.
that
Post the
is
letter and let it go.
exactly. That is what she is doing.
Okay.
She is here to get information and pass information. She is a finder and a seeker.
Okay.
She will find this energy and then she will seek the matching energy and match them up. That is one of her roles. She will get downloads of information that she will need to give through to the group. She may not always understand it herself, but she needs to give it through to the group.
Yes.
The group also needs to listen. The group needs to understand that everybody has their roles. Nobody is more important than the other. We have given this example before and we are going to give it again. It is like the body. One person in the group is the brain, one person in the group is the heart, one person in the group is the lungs. They are each very unique, but they cannot live without each other. The brain cannot live without the heart and the heart and the lungs cannot live without the brain, and vice versa. So each person is a leader for their specific field, but they all need to come together and understand what their individual roles are, which they are still learning. Because of this energy that was around here, it was very difficult for us to be very open about it because we did not want it to get corrupted. But now that it is lifted, it will become more easy and less challenging. the group will find their feet a lot better and they will find better understanding.
Okay, and which part of the body is Sam?
Does it really matter though?
I was wondering if there would be more information about her kind of purpose, or does she know what it is?
Well, we can say if we are working through a body analogy, we would not like to give it an organ, but we would like to connect her with a chakra.
Mm,
She is like the sacral chakra.
yes. Why that one?
Well, the sacral is about balance. It balances the others. This is not something that you have been taught in your information, but the sacral balances the body. The gut and the brain are connected. If the gut is interrupted, the brain is interrupted. If the brain is incorrupted, the gut is corrupted.
Mm,
There needs to be a balance so that the rest of the body can flow. And she is about balance. Her star sign says that as well, because she is a Libra. It is about balance. So she is the sacral. She needs to balance the body. She needs to balance the gut. And then the rest of the group will run more smoothly or better, if we can say.
okay. Okay, but just getting back to her questions or the scenes that were shown, she was shown that information about being, the teenager who liked to play in the wheat or wanted to go out to or was working in the wheat but wanted to go out to play, and she's like to travel to see and understand different people, and ended up marrying someone from a different tribe, and then not having a baby at the end of the day and died back at her original village. Why was this life or these scenes shown?
We were trying to show her that she has the same curiosity in this life as she had in that life,
Mm-hmm.
and that it will lead her on the same path of fulfillment. But we wanted to show her that it did not come without its challenges,
Mm.
so that she does not want to give up, so that she can stay strong and keep believing in herself. We also showed her that life, because it is Johan who she was marrying. In
Mm.
that life, they have had many lives together, and this was just one of them. It is also just to give her reassurance that things will work out the way that they need to.
Mm.
She just needs to have a little bit more patience.
Okay, but what about it was also said that she needed to trust her heart, like in that life she trusted her heart and she did what she felt was right, and that
Yes,
gave her that kind of very adventurous or fulfilling life. What does that have
exactly.
to do with her life now?
Well, it is got everything to do with her life right now. Trusting her heart is following her intuition. She just needs to keep trusting her intuition and she will find her fulfillment.
Mm.
But it is because she is going against it sometimes. She is conflicting against it. She wants to move now,
Mm.
but it is not time to move now. She wants to do this now, but it is not time to do it now. She needs to learn to be ready, to be ready, to be ready.
But when will she know though when it's ready to move?
She will know. She must just stop trying to make things happen faster and force things to happen faster because she is frustrated with the situation around her, because she does not want to go through this change period anymore. It has been very difficult for her. She has been going through this change period for the last 3 years. She has lost everything and she has started again, and then she has started to lose everything again.
Mm.
But we need to strip away so that we can make place for the new. And this is the first time that she has been so resistant towards the change.
Mm. But it seems like there isn't really change. Everything's just staying the same, and she wants things to change.
Well, sometimes when you believe that things are stagnant and they aren't moving, that is when they are moving the most, because you cannot perceive what is happening energetically. Everything happens energetically first and then it trickles down into the physical. So when she is physically feeling like she is moving, then we are quiet in the energetical because we
Mm.
have done the work already. But right now we are very busy up in the
Mm.
energetical, and she just needs to be patient.
What is happening energetically? What does that look like?
Well, it's getting all the cooperative components together. It's about timing. It's about making sure that she's on her path. It is about making sure that when she is standing in the line at OK, that she is standing there at 15:42, and that the old lady whose energy she needs to connect needs to be standing next to her at the till at 15:42. It is that complicated. That is how complicated each and every one's roadmaps are.
Okay. Okay, but you're saying she needs to be more patient. Things will start
Yes,
moving soon.
she needs to slow down.
Okay.
And we have physically slowed her down.
Yes, is that what
And it
happened
is,
to the foot?
yes.
Okay.
It wasn't us. It had more to do with the energy, but we allowed it to happen because we knew it would slow her down. It would slow her down enough to be frustrated, but she would not be able to move. So she would have to just sit with it and deal with it.
Mm. Okay, and is that what she's doing? Because she seems to be quite frustrated. Is she sitting in the emotion and then allowing it to move, or is she in resistance to the emotions?
There is still some resistance, but she is allowing her emotions to flow.
Mm-hmm.
She is not so built up of emotions. The kettle does not want to overboil, if we could put it like that.
Is that what happened to her engine mounting as well?
The engine mounting was just bad luck. Sometimes it's just bad luck. Sometimes things happen that you did not create because you cannot control the people around you. You can also not control that old lady that is standing next to you in OK or in the store is of the same vibration as you. There cannot be judgment. You do not know who is low vibration and who is higher vibration. And therefore, you cannot say that everything is from internal and then shown externally. It just cannot work like that because you cannot control the people around you unless they were all robots. But then your life would be so easy.
But is it not as within, so without?
It is more as above, so below.
What does that mean?
Well, so as we said, we are very busy energetically. So energetically, you could call it chaos. A good chaos because it is busy. And so above it is chaotic and below it is stagnant.
Yes.
And vice versa. It is also, you do reflect what is on the inside, you reflect on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
But it is not to say that those are the only factors. It cannot always just be about that. You cannot just always say, okay, things are not going well around me because I am not well inside. It is not always the case. You do not have that much power to control the people around you. And sometimes your paths will cross. Sometimes it will be unlucky that your path will cross with a lower vibration person and that they will do something like steal your wallet. And for you, it is a terrible negative experience and you are upset with the world. But you do not know that that sequence events had to happen in that certain way to trigger something in that person, which would then cause their spiritual awakening and then help them rise their vibration.
Okay. So I think the human mind is trying to simplify things again, where it's actually a kind of multitude or infinite amount of reasons why something happens to us.
Exactly. She is very quick to get upset with us and say, I did not deserve this. Why did this happen? I know I am not worthy of this. We will not use the language that she uses.
Why does she use that kind of language?
Her brain is very busy. She has a very good vocabulary, but it is just always easier for her to express herself in that short manner. A lot of intellectuals on this planet use the same way of speaking because it is simpler for them and it is simpler for the people around to understand.
Yeah, and it gets the frustration out, I suppose.
It does. It carries the emotions out. It really does.
So that's good for her then, actually, to start swearing, because that gets that out. Maybe not swearing at someone, but just swearing in solitude, and that will allow...
she does not have a problem with that. She has a potty mouth, as we could put it. She has even had to teach the children what are appropriate words and what are not, because she is always communicating like that. Her mother does not like it very much.
No.
We do not blame her. We also feel that sometimes there is a time and a place, but we have found that it is better for her when she is expressing herself because she does not get emotionally attached to the emotion when she is using the language.
Okay, just getting back to there was also, she was in a room, bright light, seemed to be a green being who represented the ego or helping with the ego. Then there were green, blue, red, yellow, purple lights, seemed to be her guides. Why was the scene shown?
We were just trying to give her perspective. She was in this room. She was nervous. She did not know what to expect. We had been showing her visions of this face as we were starting the session. And we wanted to show her how it triggered her perception. Because she had seen this face as she was going through the original induction, she immediately attached fear to it, a negativity, thinking that it was negative or that there was a corruption, but it was not. It is a reptilian, that it is her guides, and he is helping her with her ego.
Yes.
We showed ourselves in the chakra color lights because it is just easier for her to perceive us that way.
Yes.
We are different beings from different planets. Well, 3 of us, to be exact, are different beings from different planets that have come in that she said that we could work through. Her other 3 elements are the ones that you have spoken to before. And those we would say are of her true essence and of her soul, that they have always been with her throughout all her journeys.
Yes. Okay.
As we are the newcomers for this life, for this purpose. One person cannot hold as much knowledge as she needs for her finding and seeking and being the magnets, and therefore we all make turns at different stages in the journey.
Okay, and is there any information about where those other guides are from? Which planets or which races?
We would not like to share that now. She will get stuck on that,
Okay.
and she will make perception.
Okay, and the reptilian, does this one have any information about our ego? Anything else about the ego? How she can integrate aspects of self that she's pushed away?
She needs to speak to her ego and acknowledge her ego as she would her children. You all should do this. If you are not sure whether your ego is being negative or not, you simply say, "Hey, ego, take a step back and let me breathe." And then we can revisit, and you will feel that your ego will step back. Ego will listen to you, and then you can make a decisive decision. It is the same with inner child. Your inner child will always come up. It is an aspect and a part of every human, whether it is positive or negative, whether there was trauma or no trauma. And so sometimes the inner child also wants to be acknowledged and comes out to play. The inner child can sometimes cause the most sabotage if left unattended. That is where the self-awareness comes in. It is to know, is it me, is it inner child, or is it ego?
Yes,
and to deal it from there.
Yes, me, myself, and I, right?
Exactly,
the holy
me,
trilogy.
myself, and I. If it is the inner child, you say, "Hey, inner child, I love you, but you need to step back now. We acknowledge the way you are feeling and that you might be upset because you did not get your way, but it is okay. You need to just accept it, and you need to do it with love. You need to just talk to your aspects of yourself as if you were talking to another person. That is how to do it. It will make things a lot easier. It will also help for a lot of childhood wounds or healing because you are now acknowledging your inner child that was not acknowledged at some point, because every human has gone through that same basic trauma of their inner child being bruised and not feeling valid. It is not a trauma only some have. Every single human being on this planet has that vibration. And all that is required is acknowledgement and love.
And where does the inner child reside within the body?
Well, it is difficult to say. It can either be, they can either perceive themselves more strongly through your throat chakra or where your ego comes from, which is from your heart.
Okay. And the higher self?
The inner child's higher self.
Well, you said it was three aspects of the self, right? The
Yes.
ego, the inner child, and the higher self.
And well, we are the higher self. We would say it is the inner child, the ego, and Samantha in her physical human form, experiencing all those emotions. We would say that is the three.
Okay. Okay.
And then you have another three, which is her in the physical form, her soul, and her higher self, us.
Okay. But just getting back to her questions, or River's questions, she wanted to know if there's anything about her brother's death that she hasn't dealt with. Is there unresolved trauma from her mother and father, maybe even?
She does not have any attachments or trauma from her brother's death. She understood what was happening when it happened. She still has moments where she misses him or thinks about memories of decisions that were made where she, for example, got him into trouble. But it is not crippling her.
It's kind of guilt then she's feeling.
Yes, but everybody will have that to a certain degree. It is not negative and she does not have it all the time.
Okay. Is there any trauma from her mom and dad?
She has quite a lot of trauma from her childhood pertaining through to her parents. One would think that most of the trauma would come from the father, from the way that he was. But funnily enough, it is not. She has mother issues in this life.
Yes. What are those and how can she resolve it?
They are on a good path to resolving the issues. Her mother must just listen. Her mother must want to be there, and her mother must not judge. And she must not judge mother.
What can Samantha do to help her mother to be more receptive and allowing and a better listener?
She needs to sometimes meet mother by mother. And what we mean by this is it cannot always be on Sam's terms. And sometimes she needs to make a bit of an effort when she can see that her mother is stressed. Maybe come and take her for lunch or spend time with her. The things that she expects her mother to do with her, she should also try to do with her mother.
Well, we need to walk the walk. We can't just talk the talk, right?
It is, but it is very difficult, the dynamic and the situation, especially because she is going through this change period, has made it difficult for people to be around her. That is why we have isolated her.
Yeah.
It is better that way, but it is more frustrating for her because it makes her feel more stagnant. But unfortunately, this is just the cycle at the moment.
Okay, so she needs to be alone now for this
Yes,
period.
she needs to be alone for the period.
Okay. Any other way that sorry, go ahead.
It is also part of trying to teach them to connect through their heart chakras, because then they do not even need to be around each other to know what is happening. Her and Johan have already connected through heart chakra. She does not even have to tell him she woke up in a bad mood. She will just randomly get a message where he says, I can feel your energy is not right. We are needing the whole group to connect like that because they will be a stronger unit. She has successfully connected with her brother while he was staying there with her visualizations that she is saying. She was also building that connection with the children, even though it was always there. She just made it stronger. That is also why all three of them got ill now at the same time.
Why did that happen?
It's just a normal illness but it filtered through that umbilical cord through their hearts.
Oh, okay. So those cord work, it does work to connect the hearts through the
The cord
umbilical
does work. That is what we were trying to show her. Her brother really got food poisoning, and that energy got pushed through to her. So she got physical symptoms as well. And that energy pushed through to her children. So they got symptoms as well.
Yes. Okay. But then how can she kind of stop that? Because of course we want to have
It
better
will,
boundaries.
yes, it will not happen like that again. It was just to show her how the flow of the energy works.
But how will she prevent that from happening again?
We will prevent it because that is not what the cord is for. The object is not to make one sick and let all be sick.
Yes.
That is not the objective. That is not how the cord works. It was just for this specific special circumstance.
Okay, but so it won't happen again.
No, it will not happen again. It will happen more like she will wake up in the middle of the night and she will be like, oh, I need to check on my brother. I feel something is wrong with my brother.
Okay.
And send him a message and he will be, oh yes, I am violently ill. I ate something that made me sick.
Okay, so it's kind of almost like proof to her that this is working.
Yes.
Okay, and she says that is there anything with her sisters, any trauma from her sisters? It seems she holds on to anger and resentment. Is there practical steps for Samantha to help her? She still feels like she's not heard, she's not seen, she's not felt. Any practical steps there?
It is a very frustrating system for her, unfortunately, because she knows and she is aware that the matter is out of her control. She needs to allow her sisters to move through their journey and to grow and to learn their lessons. Otherwise, it will not happen. She is trying to teach them the lessons and show them the lessons to get it over with because it is painful for her. But unfortunately, this is part of what she agreed to when she came here. It is not a physical pain and it is not out of malicious. But her sisters need to learn the difference between their egos and their spiritual egos at the same time. And we have created an environment where it is caged in, if I could put it like that. So she is the one that gets affected by it the most, but she is also the only one that can handle that energy around her. And it is very difficult, but she needs to just judge less and trust more.
Okay. Anything practically how she can do that? Because it's difficult if one's been judging for a very long time to just stop doing that.
Yes, it is. It is very difficult. We have already been trying to implement those practical steps with her being, well, unable to be on her own now. That is why brother had to come stay with her so she could resolve the issue she had with brother. That is why sister is staying with her now so that they can resolve these issues. By the time sister leaves, we are confident that it will not be a problem anymore.
Okay. Anything else they need to do now to resolve the tension?
They just need to trust each other and let each other breathe.
Anything else?
There are many things. We are just trying to find or decide which is going to be the most productive and relevant. Because it is very difficult. They are both very strong. They are both born leaders. And it is more easy for Sam to know when to stand up and when to stand down as leader. But it is not so easy for sister. So we are not sure how to help in this situation other than for Sam to not take it personally and just be okay with it.
But would she
She
be
is
able to
doing
do
it
that?
out of love. That is what she must remember. And then she will not be so hurt by it and there will be less conflict.
Who is doing what out of love?
The growth. It is out of love. She is also the punching bag, so to speak, because she can handle the energy of the family. That is why she jokes and says she is the black sheep. That is why the family is so, well, harshly judges her at times and is telling her what to do, and she is stubborn and she fights against it. And instead of just leaving it as that, it becomes an emotional thing where she now wants to show them and correct it, but it is not for her to correct. If she stops trying to fix them and let them figure it out on her own, she will stop creating a cycle where she is blocking it. So she is stagnating the lesson for their growth because of her need to show them what she can see.
Okay, how can she change that?
She must just not take it so personally. Just tell herself it is okay. She is going through that now, and I'm going to leave her space. I know she is a idiot, or whatever language she would like to use in that moment, and say it. Say those names. Feel that emotion, but then get over it.
Okay.
Stop trying to point it out. They do it to each other, but they are resolving it. They are resolving it naturally.
Yes. Okay, so if she's feeling resentment, she can feel it and release it, and then it can go and say whatever word she needs to say to get that emotion out, and then
Exactly.
dissolve a bit of the charge.
Yes, just not hold on to the emotion.
Yes.
That is why she has been boiling over, and it has become, well, it has become quite annoying for the family because of this constant conflict.
Yes.
But you've got two charges, and they are charged up. But the only way to release the conflict is to kill one of the charge, because the other one can stay charged up, but it's got nowhere to charge to, if that makes sense.
Okay. So she can maybe just dissolve a bit of her charge by just feeling her emotions, and then the other one has
Exactly.
nothing to bounce off of.
Not just let herself feel her emotions. She is valid for feeling them. She is not wrong for feeling them. But just because she is not wrong does not mean that she needs to hold on to it and build resentment because she is unhappy and this must change. It will change on its own time.
Okay.
You cannot steal other people's lessons, and that is what she needs to understand.
Yes.
She does not understand that it is a lesson that her sister is going through as part of her growth and evolution, which is very important for the purpose going forward. And if she understands that it is a lesson, then it will be easier for her to not charge up.
Okay. Okay, and Sam says that if she places a crystal in alcohol, it is safe to drink it since it cannot lower her vibrations. And Jesus made wine also. Is this accurate?
Well, it is a very complex question because, yes, it is right and it is valid, but it is also not right and it is also not valid. Yes, Jesus turned water to wine. That is a fact. It did happen. Yes, people do use amethyst to put into alcohol. What it does is it creates a chemical reaction that actually lowers the alcohol inside, and therefore it also charges it. So you do not feel that you are lowering your vibration. But do not be mistaken. Gluttony is a sin on all levels.
Yes.
So you can put 50 amethysts in your 20 bottles of wine, but if you drink 20 bottles of wine in one go, you are lowering your vibration because you are creating a sin. Too much of a good thing is a bad thing.
Yes. Okay, so it's about balance once again.
It is always about balance. So yes, it does work. Alcohol is not wrong. Alcohol is not the enemy, but it is the human that consumes the alcohol that is the problem.
Okay.
If you are able to keep your boundaries, and Sam is very good with her boundaries because she does not like to feel out of control. But that is why we say it is complex, because some people can simply not drink and should simply not drink. One glass will lower their vibration, but everybody is not all on the same playing field. Everybody is not from the same dimension. They are not the same beings, and therefore it is difficult. Amethyst would work for her, yes, but it might not work for other beings because they do not know amethyst and they are not from this earth. They are just incarnated here for this one life to help with the jump. So they have more rules. Where she has been on the earth from the beginning of time and has grown from a grain of sand or stardust and keeps coming back. Her rules are different, yes.
Okay.
There is a lot of conflict on this matter because sister also likes to force her way onto others. And we don't mean force in a negative way. We just mean that because it is true for her, it does not mean it is true for everybody else.
No.
But yet she will create issues where she makes Samantha feel bad because Samantha still partakes in these things. Like we said in the previous session with the smoking, she chose to be a smoker before she incarnated here. It was an experience that she wanted. So we do not see it being a negative thing unless she is not moving her body. So she has started to move her body because she understands that. She does not judge herself. She has stopped smoking many times. She could leave that packet of cigarettes today and not look at it again. She is not addicted to it. She does not use it because she needs it. She uses it because she really likes the taste, because that is an experience she chose before she incarnated. And so that is why we say it is a complicated thing, because she may be in the position where it is okay for her to smoke and to have a glass of wine. But for her sister, for instance, because of where she has come from and the energy that she is pulling through, it is not applicable to her. She cannot do that. You then have other beings, for example, that cannot go fully vegan. They can only be on a meat diet fully because that is the type of beings that they are and from where they incarnated on the planet. So you cannot have a general rule for this for everybody.
Okay, but is there anything about drinking for Sam? Are you saying she needs to drink less? Is it more moderation, or what is there any advice there? Or...
Well, we do not see that her drinking is a problem. It is not negative. She is not overdoing it. She does not like to be out of control. Now and then she will misjudge and she will be a little bit jolly. Like last night, she was a little bit jolly. Unfortunately, we opened the floodgates there and we were handbrake on her party. She was very upset, but we also did not know that it would happen like that. We were also just trying to see and test the theory, so to speak, because everything that is being done within this group has never been done before, because the shift has never been done before. So we are all learning and experimenting at the same time. And so we don't always get it right on the first try.
Okay, so you're saying that's why she got sick. She was feeling her stomach, problems with her stomach.
But that was because of the heart chakra.
Yes.
We did not know,
Okay.
that if we had opened that channel in that way, that would have happened. We now know, we have now learned, and it will not happen like that again.
Okay. Okay, and the way Sam locks her crystals, is that correct? She seems to lock the frequency to keep it out, out of reach for others.
Her concept is correct, yes. She just has not fully gotten it right yet. You need to lock your crystals to your native frequency. Then they are your crystals. Nobody else can use them. The problem is, crystals are running on an open channel. This is common knowledge, which means even just walking past somebody in a shop that notices you are wearing a lapis lazuli and they understand the frequency, they can then jump into your lapis lazuli and they can then wreak havoc. It is one of those unfortunate things, but that is also what makes crystals so special. That is why you are able to change molecules or use crystals for lighting, for instance, for electricity, like she did in Egypt in the first life that we showed her the first time we got together with you. But you need to do it from your heart, which means you need to lock your crystals to your heart frequency so that it is not an open radio station, but a closed one, and nobody can get into your frequency.
But how do you do that with your heart? How do you connect it with your heart?
It is about setting the intent and believing that it is done. But this is where it comes tricky, because when you are working with the crystals, they are very good at picking up your energy and intention. It is not the same as just a visualization, which means you have to make sure that when you are sitting quietly and you are holding that chakra up to your heart and you are locking it, that you are in a place of love and joy. You need to be in that good space. Otherwise, it will not work.
Okay. Okay, and just about her children. The children, they seem to be holding on to trauma. How can she connect with her children and protect their energy? It seems that her son, has Asperger's, and it has dysgraphia, and her daughter has tantrums. What can she do to help them?
She needs to understand that those are two very high vibrational little beings that have chosen to be incarnated through her to carry on the purpose of what we are doing here. They are very sensitive to the energy, but more so to her energy. So, as she has been going through change and she has been going through turmoil, because she is a magnet and a mirror, she has been mirroring their traumas off onto them, and that has been causing them to act out. She needs to sit with them and she needs to work through the trauma. She has been distant from the children lately, but it is because she has not felt okay inside. But she needs to play with them a little bit more and put a bit more attention on them to help them deal with their emotional status. They will tell her how they are feeling or what they are struggling with or where their wounds are, and then she can then help them to heal. It's about listening and spending time. It's the same as acknowledging your inner child. Now she just needs to acknowledge her children as well.
Yes. Okay, anything else about them?
No, they're on a good path.
Okay. Okay, and she was wondering, her mom wants to know if there's any practical steps that her mother can link her heart to the other. She still struggles with her heart, and how can she connect with Samantha?
It is all in her mind.
Mm-hmm.
She has already started to connect. That is why the relationships have been changing. She has been paving a peaceful path forward in the way that she has been handling things. Yesterday was a good example with Tanya and Tanya's relationship problems. It could have filtered through yesterday and created a problem, but Mother decided to handle it the day before. She decided to speak openly. Everybody gave their opinions, and they then called a meeting with Tanya, and they spoke openly and honestly. She is more connected than she realizes. It is because she is expecting her connection to be like it is for some of the other people, but it is not. Her connection is the same as it is with Sam. So she needs to just ask Sam what is the feeling so that she can get familiar with it. Her heart is connected, but she keeps telling herself it is not, and that is where the problem is coming. It is more one of the mind at the moment. The body is there, the mind now just needs to follow. It is difficult because her body is still holding on to a lot of trauma, but that trauma will get resolved.
How can she resolve that?
It is stuck in her muscles and her myofascia and her tissue and in her DNA. Part of what Natasha does and what she is doing and part of her purpose is to release that very thing on her clients. She is doing that every day. She just needs to make a conscious decision to see her mother and put the same amount of effort into her mother than she would her clients on a daily, weekly program to help her release it out of her body faster.
Why doesn't she do that?
We would not know.
Okay.
Maybe she does not know that she is capable of doing it and is thinking that she needs to expand her knowledge in order to be able to release the trauma for her mother when she has actually been able to do it all along. We also do not always want to give all the answers because you are here for a reason and to figure your journey out.
Okay. Anything else that her mom can do to open her heart or heal her traumas?
She just needs to keep doing what she is doing. She is on the right path now, and she is making strides forward in leaps and bounds.
Okay. Anything we can do today to help her with her trauma, her mom?
Her children just need to truly also express that they love and appreciate their mother more. They take her for granted as well, and that energy is also creating a block or is stagnant. So it is up to the children to release that. She needs to hug her mom and tell her mom she loves her and appreciates her more.
Okay. I think we all need to do that more with our mom.
Yes, it is healing for self and it will be healing for the mother too.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Was Sam a mermaid in one of her past lives?
She was not a mermaid. She was not a true mermaid.
What does that mean?
We do not know if we want to go back into the Atlantis, but we know that she is curious. Towards the end of the first, well, we don't know how to explain it because it does not run in years. We would say the first cycle. She had 3 cycles in Atlantis, which means she was born and died in Atlantis 3 times through 3 cycles. She had 3 lives there. Unfortunately, she had a very bad life in one of them, where she was one of the unfortunate people that were experimented on and were attached to animals to try and create these beings.
Hybrids.
Yes, the hybrids.
Yes.
And that is where that mermaid side comes from, because that DNA will still be within her soul construct. But it will also be misleading for others because it is not always good for people to know exactly what she does and how much power she actually holds and how much good she is doing. So, because it is within her DNA strand, we could say, her energetical DNA strand, it is easy for us to bring that up and manipulate it so that people perceive that that is the case. She does have a connection to the Mer people because of that DNA strand, but it is not because she was one. It was because she was created as a hybrid.
What did that hybrid look like?
She had the top half of her body. It was that stage where they were experimenting in that sense. They tried to attach her to the bottom half of a type of shark because it was the only one that had a long enough tail. It is not like you see in the movies where it is this long, colorful fish tail. That is not what it looked like because there was no such tail to attach her to. So it was more that of a half shark, half human.
Okay. And why were they experimenting like that?
Power and greed. It is the same as what they are doing today with the clones to try and keep their immortality.
And who was doing the experimenting back then?
Well, we would say it was the darker aspect of Atlantis. It was the ones that were in power that got greedy. A lot of their bloodlines are still flowing today within what you would call the elites, the ones that are drinking blood and cannibalizing on people and human trafficking, the ones that are working with the reptilians.
Okay.
It is all about power and control of human. And that is exactly, they are the same facets from that Atlantis that have come through. They were the same facets that leached through and corrupted Egypt.
So those stories are true today.
Those stories are true. They are very true. It is very real.
But why is that not exposed? Because it seems like a lot of other spiritual people know about it, but normal people don't.
They are very clever. They have been exposing it this entire time, but people do not listen because people do not believe it. But they have exposed it, and therefore they do not have repercussions. It is a thing of karma. If they are telling you what they are doing and you still choose to ignore it or unsubscribe, then it is not their fault. They cannot get karma. They can carry on with this cycle as long as they want to, as long as they disclose what they are doing. Now people are becoming aware of what they are disclosing. And people are choosing that they are not wanting to be a part of it, which is good because they use the television to indoctrinate us, humans.
Okay. Anything else about those people or beings?
No, they will get sorted out and they will not carry on with their agendas for as long as we think they will, but there will still be challenges going forward. But it's to not focus on that. It is to know this is what is going on. I do not agree, I do not consent, and this is not going to be in my timeline.
Yes, but
It is making that conscious choice. The energetical conscious choice is all we can do at this stage.
and how will they get sorted out?
They will not be able to jump with us unless we allow them to.
Okay, to the fifth dimension.
Yes.
How will we allow them to?
Well, if we keep locking ourselves into their drama, if we keep feeding ourselves that, oh, it is so hopeless, look at what they are doing, I cannot do anything, you are giving them power, you are consenting to them being in control. It is much different in going, oh, look at these disgusting things that they are doing. I do not choose it, I do not like it, and it will not come into my timeline. There you have given yourself your power back. Your power is in your energy. Your energy is the strongest currency.
Okay. And is there anyone that is kind of taking them down at the moment?
There are many that are taking them down. There are many whistleblowers. There are many elites who are actually coming out now and they are confirming that these things are happening so that there is awareness. It is about the truth being exposed. But people will choose not to believe it because it goes against their good little bubble and their system.
Yes.
But the problem is they are the ones that are consenting. So they are either going to stay with that energy and not jump at all, or they are going to be the reason that the energy can jump with us. And that is why there is this mass awakening. It will get a lot worse before it can get better. And this worse may seem again like a negative aspect, but it is not. It is very positive because it will be the shock that everybody needs to go, hey, whoa, we can't pretend this is not happening anymore and we need to choose.
Okay. So you're saying, but it's okay if we kind of consciously choose to say, okay, that does exist, but we are not made. That is not part of our reality. So
Yes, because you have already become consciously aware of it and you have already chosen.
Okay. Anything else about that? Those things and how we can kind of help ourselves going forward?
No, just don't consent and choose for it not to be on your timeline and make sure that you do not subscribe to that. You cannot say, ooh, Disney is evil, for example, but then you still watch Disney movies.
Just Disney makes good movies, though.
Yes, they do. We're just using an example.
Okay.
You know, it is like, what is that fashion house?
Like Balenciaga, that whole.
Yes, that whole thing. They are openly telling you what they are doing. People are mad and they are blaming the wrong people. But if you still buy their clothes and you still say their name, you are still subscribing to them. You are still choosing.
Why would they